Welcome to the Umami Podcast. Ayo.
Hello, we're back.
Beauty.
We're back with a bang.
Also, beauty came from behind the camera to in front of the camera.
Wow,
Yes.
we are so honored.
We're like, we can't get enough.
Wow, like beauties. Wow. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
You've always been with us in many forms, on many dimensions, and now in person.
Wow.
And you brought us amazing food.
I hope so. I hope it's amazing.
Please, can we start though?
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Also,
'Cause-
Coca-Cola, bro.
Yes, maybe let's start with the Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Okay.
We have with us Coca-Cola in a glass bottle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah, no, this. Yeah, please unpack this now for us.
So I know that Coca-Cola is cancelled at the moment because of the political climate.
There you go.
But Coke holds a special place in my heart and in well, I guess for my family. So Coke. So I grew up in many places in KZN, and mostly rural. My dad is a pastor, has been a pastor in many rural communities. But the one that he's been, there was a congregation that he was in before, Emandeni, in a town called Emandeni, which I don't remember because I was too young for that. I remember us being Kwamapenza, so that's a rural area.
Sure.
Yeah.
outside Impangeni where we live now. And so I would go to my dad. So part of his role as a pastor is that he'd visit people at home for communion or people who were sick or whatever. And so whenever you would come with a pastor, there would be a cold bottle of Coke that the granny or whatever member of the family would go buy from the local spaza.
It had to be Coke.
It was Coke or it was Fanta, but it was
Yeah.
always in the glass bottle, the
Wow.
1 liter
For your dad.
for my dad. And then it was always accompanied by biscuits, which I guess we'll have at the end after the meal.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so, but the context is that this, in rural, you can imagine that people are living from disability grants or pension money, but they would always make it a point to have something for the pastor.
That's
And
nice.
so,
Yeah.
Hectic. So this was like, if you were drinking this, like, then, yeah. It
And
was, it was an,
it was special.
yeah.
Would you get to have some with
Yeah.
your dad?
So when I would go with my dad often when
Okay.
as a youngin, and sometimes he would bring these bottles home
Yeah.
as umpago. Like what is umpago in Zulu in English?
Umpag was like leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or barakat.
Mhm.
For the-
Patkos, so what is it?
Yeah.
I don't
Patkos
know.
is like, we're going somewhere, we're taking, but there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
leftovers or barakat, like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Wow.
So that's the Coke.
That's beautiful.
Sure.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
When you brought these, I was like, yo, you're taking us back because I don't know when last I
Mm.
I
drank
see.
Coke out of a glass bottle.
Yeah.
Same.
I've seen these,
Do
yeah.
you have
Where did you get
experiences with
them?
this?
I bought at my spaza in Wiesenberg.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then we're also having Nophuthu. And then I made spinach. So this is spinach with potatoes. And then Newors.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I wish the cameras could smell.
Yeah, it smells so good.
Yeah.
So Puthu is maize, like everyone knows Puthu. And so this is a staple in the Zulu household. And so I know that other different cultures have a different relationship with maize.
Yeah.
But for Zulus, it's so I know that Xhosa people usually have it with amasi.
And different
Pork.
things.
Yeah. But for us, like it's for everything. Like you can have it with beans, with a curry, with stew, whatever.
Wow.
This is like everyday vibes. And then
No, I was going to ask, because I know right now to me it looks like stave up or like, it looks like the harder version of ipapa, whatever, putu. So when you would have it, would you have it in different consistencies?
Yeah. So so we usually have in my household, we have putu all the time, and so there's different types of putu. So this putu is a stew putu, and if you're making it for amasi, it's drier than this.
Yeah, because this looks from my
It's dry.
context, it looks dry, like you would eat it with amasi.
Yeah. So for us, this is not dry. This is the normal putu.
Okay.
And then ipapa, you would have it with braai.
Okay.
And what's the consistency for that one?
It's stiff pap, like it's.
So this is like the
wet.
medium. This is like
Okay.
medium for you. Wow, that's so interesting. You wouldn't go drier than this, Thami?
I'd go drier somewhat for the one you'd have with amasi.
Okay.
So it's still like this, still would be fine, but then
Yeah.
there are people who go really dry.
Wow.
Where it's like kind of like grainy, very grainy,
Yeah.
which is also an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then spinach with potatoes. So I just made it with butter, onions, green pepper, some chilies, and did I say potatoes and spinach?
Yes. So this is how you'd make it.
Yeah, so this is how, so you know when my mom cooks, mom doesn't cook often now because she has adults in the house, but spinach is something that we always have at home because my dad gardens. So there'll always be spinach, there'll sometimes be cabbage outside, but cabbage, spinach, beans are like the staple. Like you always have those in the house. And so usually, you know, my mom doesn't like it with potatoes. I like it with potatoes.
Yeah, people make it in
different
varieties.
ways. Yeah. So I like it with potatoes. I don't know, because it just adds a little bit of. Also because when you make spinach, it shrinks in the pot.
100%.
So potatoes kind of
It
give
travels.
it volume. Yeah.
It's also creamy. Potatoes so creamy.
Yeah. Perhaps. Beautums.
It's good.
Garlic.
Wow.
There's garlic there.
Garlic
Wow.
is singing.
The
in
garlic
this.
and the pepper.
Wow.
The green pepper is doing something here. Wow.
Wow.
Okay. This is next level.
This is good. Wow.
Okay, and then also, so let me, like my context with eating ipapa and like spinach, very rarely would we have the combo of having the
Meat.
vors.
Really?
Yeah, we'd have like maybe chicken or like lamb or something, but not vors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So KZN is an interesting place because we have influence of Afrikaans heavily. Have influence from Afrikaans people, and we have influence of Indian people. So in our cuisine, you can see that.
yes,
So vors is one of that. Like vors is very Afrikaans,
Yeah.
and even in our braais, you'll see these things show up. And so even with the chilies, right? So these, so at home, my dad grows bird's eye chilies,
wow,
and so we
You all
have
do spice.
we do spice.
Yeah.
And so we have chili with every meal
Wow.
at home. Yeah. And so also because we're Zulu, meat is important.
delicious.
It's delicious. I'm glad.
No, this is stunning.
Because we're Zulu, meat is very important at my
Yes.
household.
same with
So it's very like you get complaints if you make food without meat.
Halala.
It's like
Hectic.
really, like, you know.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Although
Like, what do you mean?
yeah. So often when someone makes like beans and something, there'll be like a piece of chicken or something on the side. Yeah.
Beautiful.
There's so like I said earlier on, we have a big influence of Indian culture back home, and so even we don't buy spices from the shop. Like we don't buy spices in the box or whatever. We buy spices from Indian shop spices. Yeah. And so there's different kinds of spices, like there's 3 mix, there's ongababi. So ongababi is literally translated to the one that is not hot.
Okay.
I guess because of, there's Indian people with Zulu people
Yes.
who will come into the shop and be like, I want the curry but not the hot one.
Yeah.
And so they will label it ongababi.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so the spices in Cape Town are not the same as home.
Wow.
And I don't know what it is, but they when I told my mom, I was like, Mama, they don't have flavor. She's like, yeah, adum.
Wait, what does that do mean?
Like doom is like it's dead. Like the spices are dead.
Wow.
Take that, Cape Town.
You're clearly missing out here.
And so my cousin said to me, oh, but maybe you must cook the spice first and it will wake it up. I've tried that. It doesn't work. The spices here are not the same.
Wow.
So that's what I.
So you've had to put up with this for
It's a blow.
so long.
Yeah, and I've learned to. Whenever I go home, I come back with some supplies of spices. Yeah.
And it reminds me of
The spinach.
the spinach and the putu, yeah. So back home it's like, I guess African traditions, you come from where your dad is from. So where he's from, so traditional meals generally back home work like, oh, you're from this tribe, so then your traditional meal is that tribe traditional meal. So ours is called fufukon and jamanjama. So fufukon is like pap, like corn, from cornstarch, from corn flour. And then jamanjama is like a type of spinach. And this reminds me a lot of it. It's just that this, the putu is crumbly. But generally fufu is like, it's like similar to pap. So it's more, yeah. So generally I'll be having this with like pap. And then the voice also is, the flavor reminds me of egusi. The texture and the flavor. Because you have egusi pudding, right? And it's like, you usually have meat in it, so it has a meaty flavor, but then you like almost like bake it, and it has like quite meaty texture too. Yeah, and then you usually have it with the jamanjama and fufukon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it just takes me back home. It's so good.
I like that. And this is a nice meal. Usually when we have putu like this, it's then the meat will be fatty. So like often my mom would get like you'd get lamb ribs, but the offcuts, like the top parts of the lamb ribs, and so you would like put that in the oven or fry it, and you'd also have it on the side there. Yeah.
So this the pap like absorbs the
flavors.
Yeah. Because this is nice. You have the spinach being a little bit like saucy, and then you have that over the pap.
But I would eat this here just like
On its
own,
on there.
yeah.
Yeah, same for sure.
Okay, so the last thing I bought today were ama choice assorted.
Choice assorted. There's been like so many. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
So our choice assorted are definitely like a Christmas cookie.
a luxury.
Yeah, so the last Christmas, my mom was like, I'm not buying choice assorted anymore. They're so expensive. And we looked at it and we were like, what? We can't have Christmas. It's not Christmas without choice assorted.
Wow.
So these are like, I don't know if this is a black people thing or is it a Zulu? I don't know.
We can ask.
Do you have a relationship with these
person.
cookies?
I had homemade cookies.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, wow, these are not homemade.
But I've seen it in the shops.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We had.
It definitely has a clientele.
I don't know if it's choice assorted, but we had is the metal.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are bougie.
Yeah, and then we'll have it, and then it's gonna like they'll kind of need to hide it.
Yeah.
Okay, can I tell
Yeah,
you
but then you
that?
open
Can I
it and
tell
then
you
you have
that
like one layer.
I've never tasted those
You never
biscuits,
tasted those
but
ones?
we've had many containers.
Fact on fact. I can confirm as well.
I actually just need to buy them to have.
Just so you do
just so
it.
you
Yeah. So anyway, so then you get this in the shops everywhere, and so you get 1 liter, 1 kg of them. You get 2
That big
kgs,
box.
and so they inside. There's like 4 boxes. So if you get the 2 kg, there'll be 4 boxes with these biscuits.
Wow.
And so I bought them today. I actually to pair them with the Coke. Because, like I said, each time we would go, so my dad's work has really influenced how I live my life. And even the career choice, I think, that I have taken has been because of that. So growing up, like I said, so my dad had this old Mitsubishi Colt, like Baki. And so I would sit in front and put my feet on the dashboard. And we would drive on rural roads to go see different people.
I wish I could see that, like little young beauty.
Yeah. And so when Emma Benza, that rural area that we were in, there were about 10 congregations that my dad was serving. And so each day he would have a schedule to go visit people in the different regions in the area. And so when we would go, my dad would make a point that we go, he physically steps into people's homes, he sits and he will eat whatever is offered him, right? And so sometimes it would just be cool drink, sometimes it would be cool drink and biscuits, sometimes it would be rice and whatever he would be given. So imagine if he has 10 households that he's seeing in that day, he will eat and sit in all of those households. Yeah.
And he wouldn't say you could.
He wouldn't say no.
Also, you have to
Why
finish the
couldn't
food. 'Cause
And so this would be my question. And so for me, growing up, my one problem was that so people didn't have electricity. So even when we sat in the mission house, we didn't have electricity. We used a gas stove. And you guys, we didn't even have a fridge, right? And so often we would have meat. When we would have meat, my dad would make biltong. Like he would put it on a hook and dry it so that we could eat it. So it could last. And so I wasn't used to eating food that was cooked from the fire because it has a different taste. And so when I would go to different people's houses, I'd be like, Baba, I can't eat this food. It was made in the fire. And he'd be like... Yes.
Wow. So what do you mean cooked meat that was made?
Like it was food that was made outside in the fire.
Wow.
And so it tastes different.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And I would be like, he'd be like, you're gonna eat the food. And so that shaped how we grew up.
Yeah.
Our culture around people, how we, And so I realized how much influence my dad had on me. Those experiences had on me when I was a student. I was placed in Kwalanga at an old age home old age facility. And one day that one of the grannies, so the accommodation was opposite the center, and so she said to me, "Do you wanna come see where I live?" So I said to her, "Oh no, Gogo, that our transport is coming." She's like, "It's gonna be quick." You guys, I went inside and she started crying, and she said to me, "I've never had a doctor in my house."
Wow.
And I was a student at that time, right? So I called my dad and I was like, "Oh my God, Baba, you won't believe what happened." And he was like, "Yeah, that's the gravity."
Sure.
That I understood why my dad did the things that he did, because it's that special to people. I think how everything is political, we have power, and so how we show up in people's houses in that way, I think my dad taught me that.
Humanizing.
And so that's why I bought these, right, where like people, their hospitality in different circumstances. Like you guys, we would go to a house where this granny, like ikukwane. So ikukwane is different to a hut. So a hut has taller walls and there's attached roof. Ikukwane is the one that is more like a dome. It's shorter. And so you would go into a homestead where people are living with kukwane, like a smaller place, like living in not great circumstances, and they would have this for you.
Wow.
Like they would have this ready for you to eat. You know what I mean? So the hospitality in those areas was very life shaping.
Yeah.
So that's why I bought this
Wow.
to remember those experiences.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah. Shall I open?
Yeah, that's wild.
Being a pastor's child is very weird. Because so even though we lived in rural communities, we were not part of the community. Does that make sense?
How, like, you were outside,
Were you considered like?
or was it there was a bit of reverence?
The reverence, but also because our circumstances were not like the community circumstance, right?
Okay.
So we lived in a house that looked different to the houses that were in the community. Number one,
Was it the church house?
church house. So it was big. It was like it looked like a farmhouse. And the resources that we had were different. Like we had a Jojo tank. We used gas. We didn't, like basing a basi.
Okay, so people were cooking outside.
Cooking outside, yeah. They had long drops. We didn't have a long drop. We had a
beauty. I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? Like we had a toilet in the house, although it wasn't flushing. Like you had to pour water in it in order. You know what I mean? But our circumstances were different to the community, and so even when there was no water, like there was a drought, and we would have to go to epitini. Do you know what a piti is?
You're gonna tell us.
So a piti is like, I don't know what it's called, but it's that big tap where there's those things.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And then the water
Then the water
You can like pump the
comes.
water, yeah.
So it's like a pump. It's like
a pump. It draws the water from.
I don't know.
It's like a well with a pump.
Yeah.
So then you pump the water outside of the
Yeah.
well.
And so when there was no water in the whole community, we'd all have to go to Epitin.
Mm.
But when we would get there, we would jump the queue.
Oh, wow.
Like they would be like,
That's hectic.
Fundisi, you know what I mean? Like,
take my friend.
yeah,
Wow.
And when we went there, right, we didn't go, like the community would come with, what is it called?
Buckets of
Not buckets. What's that thing that you push with the wheel?
Wheelbarrow.
With a wheelbarrow.
Yes.
Oh, they would be carrying.
I was thinking so deep. What wheelbarrow?
They'd be carrying 20-liter bottles on their heads.
Yeah.
And so we would come with my dad's bakkie, right? And thingy. And sometimes we wouldn't even do it ourselves. Like the community members would be doing it for us. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean by we were in the community, but we're not part of the community.
Yeah.
Like even when we would go to ceremonies or whatever, like we would go to a special part of the place that was reserved and prepared for the pastor and his family, and we wouldn't be part of the communal.
Even kids, would you be separate from each other?
Even kids.
Wow.
We would.
Do you think that's why your dad was so intentional about like being in the
I think
house, just to
so.
break that
Yeah.
weird thing?
Yeah.
Of divide.
Exactly. And so, but I guess it was a catch-20. What is it called? What do big people say? Catch-22 of recognizing that this is happening. Like people are, doing this, but also not wanting to disappoint. Like honoring that.
Yeah.
The image that
Preparation.
they're portraying all like this.
Yes.
Yeah, thing to also like live up to that standard.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. Do you know this?
Oh geez, this.
What's your choice?
I'm a traditionalist. It's a music shortbread, and these guys did.
Those are good.
I love how you bought your. What's it?
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you, baby.
That was so beautiful.
That was so fun.
Dude, you're a real girl, dude. Like,
I'm a rural girl.
You're beauty. I didn't know.
I'm a rural girl.
that's the
La la la.
I thought you were suburban.
I'm not.
It's the twang.
I grew up in
It's a twang,
It's a twang, yeah. I grew up in different worlds.